it is in a way worse than the 2024 budget and finance bill, which was rejected by the public. This year they are talking of zero budgeting, which is a political slogan, which means nothing. Because when you go to the budget, the expenditure does not match the revenue. Zero budgeting is looking at the revenue you have and matching the expenditure. And that is not what is happening. Zero budgeting also expects that every expenditure item has to be rationalized. And you'd expect more discipline, fiscal discipline, and prioritization of necessities. You have just heard that there was no money for examinations, for invigilation. It is now Parliament trying to allocate. But beyond that, there are items in that budget that are not rationalized at all.
Yes.
What is other expenses for State House, which are 2 billion plus? Nothing is called other expenses. It has to be itemized, rationalized. So you can see this budget is like any other budget, any other of the two budgets that the William Ruto administration has passed, which focuses on money expenditure for the big boys and not prioritizing the needs of the people, not even those that are under the Constitution, under Article 43, because education, health have to be budgeted for under Article 43 of the Constitution. These are ignored. I was looking at Parliament's budget. Parliament has 49.6, I believe, billion this year. Last year's budget, they had 44.6. It's almost an increment of just about 5 billion. Where is the austerity here? We know that quite a large chunk of Parliament's budget is travel. The same with the ministries, the same with State House. So maybe you reduce the travel budget in State House and then you do other, which doesn't tell us. I would want to be convinced that it is zero budgeting when the policy statement matches the itemized expenditure in the budget, and I don't see that. You make education universal. We are defunding education rather than increasing the funding and making it easier for the people. I would want to see an expanded social support because so many people are now below the poverty line. I would like to see less taxation for the digital spaces. They're calling it significant presence, online presence, and which is indiscriminate taxation for the big boys like Meta, but also for the unemployed youth who have found something to do, whether content creators or, people on TikTok, on Instagram, and all that. Our unemployed youth have found something to do online, electronically. These are the people we are going for indiscriminately. They are not giving any threshold. I would like to see, I would not like to see excise duty removed on eggs, potatoes, and other items that are coming from other countries to flood our markets. You make it impossible for our farmers. I would like to see our farmers protected and more money spent on agriculture. I would like to see support and less taxation for SMEs. We keep on talking about investors. The largest investor is cumulatively all the SMEs put together. They are the most dependable because they do not go anywhere else. Even when they fail, they try the next day because they have no other alternative.
All right.
I would like to see investing in us more than investing in anybody else.
All right.
I think to begin with is cutting on an essential expenditure. And I started by pointing out, you see amounts in State House of 2 billion, which nobody explains. I don't know whether that is the money that is being used for people who go and cheer up Dr. William Ruto when he is touring, or the money being used by his deputy when he's going out and, mobilizing. What we are saying is that if you say zero budgeting, stick to it. And let us see rationalization of everything. We have not, I would also expect prioritization of things that matter to the people. You cannot tell us that it's Mwananchi's budget when you don't remember education, when access to health is not improved, and when you are trying to overtax the very people. There's nothing that shows you that there's tax increase. But when you are going after unemployed youth who are trying to get work on the internet, when you zero rate, when you remove zero rating and go to tax exempt, the tax is going to be pushed on to the consumer. And by the way, there is excise duty also on fuel, which is going to make transport more costly. It has ripple effects on many, many things. This year's budget is going to bite. And that's what people need to know. And for you to know that it's not a Mwananchi budget, it is the arrest of Rose Njoki. Why would you arrest a young Kenyan or any Kenyan at all who is just trying to enhance awareness and public participation? Ironically, arrested the weekend before public participation kicked off, which means that public participation is now a ritual. It is guided. It is only for people who are approved, not for everybody. And it means that really there's so much hidden in this year's budget and finance bill, which the William Ruto regime doesn't want the ordinary person to know. No. Government is competing with the local business people on access to loans from the bank. And the banks prefer the government because they lend them at higher rates. It means even the money that is available to business, the banks will also hike the interest rates. That is not the way to grow the economy. It's killing the economy. I'm saying in this year's budget, if it was zero budgeting, I would have expected all non-essential expenditure, the very top-heavy executive, it would have been trimmed. Remember that Dr. Ruto is having like 20 advisors. The ministers are having, cabinet secretaries are having advisors. Governors are having advisors. Some cannot even explain what each person is advising them on. These are the areas to cut the needless expenditure. And then we will not have a deficit. It cannot be zero budgeting and then you have a deficit.
All right.
And this budget, instead of austerity, I would declare that it's a cruelty budget meted out on Kenyans, where we continue to pamper a few political, the ruling elite, while overburdening and punishing in terms of lack of services the ordinary person. Do not expect anything good from an executive that continues to lie to your face. Give apologies with tongue in cheek and then continue to arbitrarily arrest, detain, and punish those with dissenting voices or those who are not part of their choir. Do not expect anything good from an executive that thinks only about itself and is hell-bent on continuing with its plans even when Mwananchi protests. But let us all raise our voices. Your voice matters. My voice matters. Collectively, we will stop this extractive regime that is extracting the last drop of blood, the last coin, from people whose backs are already broken.
Let me just break down the budget for you so that you can see where your 40 billion is coming from. Although I don't know whether it's 40 billion in terms of what, because when you look at the last year's budget, that is the 2024-2025, the one we're implementing, and the one which the minister has proposed of 4.2 trillion, the difference is not actually 40 billion, it's much more. But we have a budget of about 4.2 trillion. And the way you break it down is that out of that budget, the executive will be getting about 2.5. The counties will be getting about that is 2.5 trillion. The counties will be getting 4 or 5 trillion. Equalization fund will get about 9.5 trillion. Then you have what we call the CFS, Consolidated Fund Services, which will get about 1.8. And that's what gives you a totality of that budget. The 40 billion you are talking about is actually what we call grants. It's the money we expect to get from our colleagues, development partners. Those are the grants. In terms of how it will be financed, and that's where the finance bill comes in, we have the finance bill. That is the own revenue, what we call ordinary revenue, which will generate about 2.7 trillion. Then you will have what we call A in A, a provision in aid. This is the money you collect by selling services to Kenyans, goods and services. For example, when you go to get your title, you pay. That's what we call A in A. So that will give us about 570 billion. And then the country will be borrowing 878 billion. If you add that and then the 40 billion you're talking about of grants, then it will give you the total of 4.2 trillion. So basically, that's the way the budget, you broke down the budget, and then the money for the executive will be shared to the ministries, departments and agencies, and it will be taking care of recurrent expenditure and what we call development expenditure. But when you analyze the budget, you realize that development expenditure is still a very low figure. It's actually about 700 billion, which is quite low. And the rest is recurrent expenditure, meaning taking care of salaries, fuel for cars. There are quite a number of concerns. And some of the concerns were arising from the fact that some key items had been left out. I'm sure you are aware. It was reported that we didn't have any money for examination fee. So that omission was quite serious, bearing in mind that our kids will not be able to sit for exams, and looking at the time frames in terms of sitting for exams. So in this budget, we brought back a figure of 5.9 billion to take care of that fact.